My mom posted pictures of me in the hospital and used my trauma to get views online, so I walked out of her life for good. 2 years later, she showed up begging me to come home saying she changed, so I made her prove she wasn't faking it. My mom can best be described as that one mom from Mean Girls with the chest implants and all pink Y2K aesthetic. She was the most popular mom in my school, and I got invited to everything. And when we went clothes shopping together, she always helped me to discover a new sense of style. But when I entered the 5th grade, things started to change. When the guys in my grade saw her pick me up from school every day, they started joking around whenever I was nearby. You got foxy eye jeans. I have all your mom's Instagram posts saved to my S-Punk bank. Or my least favorite, I never knew I was into MILFs before seeing your mom. So I told my mom, expecting her to be as disgusted as me. Instead, her face turned pink. She started twirling her hair. Really? She giggled like it was the biggest compliment in the world. From there, the outfits she wore on the days she picked me up got skimpier and skimpier, from tank tops with spaghetti straps to thin linen pants that were completely see-through and sundresses that barely reached her thighs. I was forced to watch as the entirety of my grade ogled her, and one even went so far as to accidentally spill her water bottle onto her with a huge smirk on his face. I tried my best to ignore it and instead focus, but it was like the attention consumed her. Not even just the boys in my class, but everywhere. She'd flirt with male waiters, bus drivers, or even the delivery men. It was always the same routine: the gentle eye batting, the fake deep in thought biting her lip combo, and softening her face so she'd look 10 times dumber than she actually was. But there was one good thing that came from all this. She always made me laugh. Whether I had a rough day at school or got a bad grade, it was like she always knew the right thing to say to cheer me up. But other than making me laugh or feel pretty, she was never there for me. I remember being 12 years old, lying in bed, hoping for my last baby tooth to fall out so I had an excuse to get her attention. And when nothing seemed to be working, I followed in her footsteps. So I was 14 when I got my first boyfriend, and me and my mom connected like never before. We spent our evenings together gushing like she was another teenage girl in the locker room. We'd even go through his Instagram following together, sussing out every girl to see if he had liked her posts, and of course, whether or not they were prettier than me. She has nothing on you. She's so flat I could use her as an ironing board. Her name makes her sound like a corn star. If I looked like that, I would actually cull myself, are all things she said about the other girls while laughing. And since my best friends at the time all spoke like this too, I thought it was normal. Obviously, as I grew up a little more, I learned about the concept of peaking in high school and realized it fit my mom to a T. But I'd always hear about parents who were physically abusive, ones who screamed at their kids and called them worthless for no reason. So I figured that overall, my mom wasn't so terrible. Like, at least she actually cared about me. But the older I grew, the harder I found it to convince myself of that. I was 17 when my boyfriend broke up with me. All my friends were telling me that the best way to get over someone is to get under someone new. But I didn't want to be a bop. I just wanted some real reassurance. So I told my mom, expecting at least a drop of wisdom. Instead, she ordered me an outfit that looked more like a bikini and told me that when it arrived, we'd hit the clubs in Miami and she'd even buy me a fake ID, as if that was the only barrier to her big plan. That's when the loneliness that plagued my chest became impossible to ignore. I started spending every night disassociating and staring at my white wall while wrapping my arms around myself to pretend that someone was holding me, that someone understood me and loved me, but it never worked. Apparently, you can't fill the void from a neglectful parent with more alone time. So I did what every responsible 17-year-old girl would do in that situation. I agreed to go to a frat party with my friends. I remember finally saying yes in our Snapchat group chat and seeing all the Bitmojis come in and start cheering LOL. As usual, the pre-gaming was 10 times better than the night itself, mainly because it never happened. You see, my friend Julia at the time was the designated driver since she was the only one not drinking, or so we thought, until she crashed right into a tree. Luckily, she was the only one hurt with only mild injuries. Still, the whole thing left me pretty shaken up. So when I got to the hospital, I did the most insane thing in the entire world. I called my mom. By the time she arrived, I was in tears and expected her to hold me, to be a real mother for once. Instead, she just whipped out her phone to take a B-reel before passing me a protein bar from the vending machine. And maybe it was because my mom's chest was practically hanging out in the photo, or the fact you could see her red undies. But either way, the photo went viral. And the next day, we woke up to CPS knocking on the front door. I nearly had a heart attack when I saw the social worker standing there. My mom, though, she just switched into flirt mode. The social worker was a guy named Keith, probably in his 30s, and it was painfully obvious he was into my mom from the second she answered the door in her silk robe. She invited him in, offering coffee and batting those eyelashes. I sat on the couch, hoping he'd actually do his job and see through her act. But nope. He barely looked around our house, asked a few basic questions, and left after just 10 minutes. I watched from the window as he walked to his car with this stupid grin on his face. So much for child protection. The second he drove away, my mom's smile vanished. She slammed the door and turned to me with fury in her eyes. "This is your fault," she hissed. "You think I don't know you're jealous of me? You probably reported me yourself for attention." I tried to explain that I had nothing to do with CPS showing up, but she wouldn't listen. She was convinced I was trying to ruin her life because I was bitter and plain compared to her. Those words stung worse than any physical pain could have. They confirmed what I'd always feared, that she saw me as competition rather than her daughter. The next day at school was a nightmare. The viral photo had spread everywhere, and suddenly I was MILF girl all over again, but worse. Some kids made fake social media accounts pretending to be my mom. Others asked if she was available for private tutoring. I couldn't escape it. The whispers followed me down every hallway, and even teachers gave me these pitying looks that made me want to disappear. I tried to keep my head down, but the comments followed me everywhere. By lunchtime, I was hiding in the bathroom, trying not to cry. My phone kept buzzing with notifications. My mom was posting more revealing photos, tagging me in them, and writing captions like "Mother-Daughter Day with my mini-me," when we hadn't even spoken that morning. When I got got home that afternoon, I finally confronted her. I told her how humiliated I felt, how the kids at school wouldn't leave me alone, how I just wanted a normal mom who cared about my feelings more than her follower count. I expected her to yell or storm off, but instead she did something worse. She started crying. Not real tears, but those fake dramatic sobs she'd perfected over the years, the kind that always got men rushing to help her. "How could you say that to me?" she wailed, loud enough for our neighbors to hear. "After everything I've done for you, I'm just trying to be a cool mom. I thought you'd appreciate having a mom who's still got it, not some boring old lady who wears mom jeans." I stood there, completely deflated. There was no winning this argument. She'd already rewritten reality in her head, casting herself as the victim and me as the ungrateful daughter. Classic mom move. That night, she posted a teary-eyed selfie with the caption, "Being a single mom is so hard sometimes. You give your whole heart to your child only to be told you're not good enough. Single mom struggle. Teenage daughter problems." The comments flooded in immediately. "You're an amazing mom. She doesn't deserve you. Teenagers are so ungrateful." Each one was like a knife twisting in my gut. I watched in real time as she manipulated her followers into thinking I was the problem. By morning, she had over 2,000 new followers and 3 sponsorship offers from clothing brands. At school the next day, people looked at me differently. Some of my friends had seen my mom's post and were suddenly cold toward me. Amber, who I'd been friends with since 3rd grade, actually said, "You know, your mom seems like she's really trying. Maybe you should be more grateful." I wanted to scream. None of them knew what it was like at home. They only saw the carefully curated version of my mom that existed online. The fun, carefree, cool mom who just wanted to connect with her daughter. They didn't see how she'd ignore me for days when I didn't play along with her games. Things got even worse when my mom started showing up at school events she'd never cared about before. She volunteered for the bake sale wearing a crop top and leggings that left nothing to the imagination. She came to my debate tournament and spent the whole time taking selfies with the male teachers. She even crashed a study group at our house, bringing snacks while wearing a bikini top because she was sunbathing in the backyard. My friends started coming over more often, not to see me, but to hang out with my mom. They'd sit in our kitchen for hours while she taught them makeup tricks and gossiped about people at school. I'd hide in my room, trying to focus on homework while listening to them laugh downstairs. One night, my mom knocked on my bedroom door. "Hey, sweetie, I need a favor," she said, sitting on my bed. "There's this networking event for work tomorrow night, and I need you to come with me." I was suspicious immediately. My mom had never asked me to attend a work event before. "Why do you need me there?" I asked. She twirled her hair, always a sign she was lying. "Oh, you know, it's a family-friendly thing. Lots of people bring their kids." The next night, I reluctantly got dressed in the outfit she'd laid out for me, a tight black dress that was definitely not appropriate for a 17-year-old. When we arrived at the networking event, I realized it was actually just drinks at an upscale bar with a bunch of executives from her company. I was the only person under 30 there. My mom immediately ditched me at the bar, where I couldn't even order a drink, and sauntered over to a group of men in expensive suits. I watched as she worked her magic, laughing too loudly at their jokes and touching their arms. After about an hour, she came back with a man named Brian, who she introduced as her boss. "This is my daughter," she said, putting her arm around me. "Isn't she just gorgeous? She's planning to apply to colleges next year. She's interested in business just like you, Brian." Brian, who was at least 50, looked me up and down in a way that made my skin crawl. "Is that right?" he said, not looking at my face. "Well, I'd be happy to mentor such a promising young lady. Maybe we could discuss your future over dinner sometime." I mumbled something about needing the bathroom and escaped. I hid in a stall for 20 minutes texting Megan, who had mostly recovered from the accident, about how creepy the whole situation was. When I finally came out, my mom was waiting for me, looking annoyed. "What is wrong with you?" she hissed. "Brian could have helped you get an internship this summer. Do you know how hard I worked to get him interested in helping you?" That's when it hit me. She was basically trying to pimp me out to her boss for career advancement. I felt sick. "I don't want his help," I said, "and I don't want to be here. I want to go home." "Fine," she snapped, "but don't come crying to me when you can't get a job after college because you have no connections." The ride home was silent. When we got to our house, I went straight to my room and locked the door. I could hear her downstairs talking loudly on the phone to someone, complaining about how difficult I was being. I put in my earbuds and tried to drown her out with music. The next morning, I woke up to a text from Megan asking if I wanted to come over. I jumped at the chance to escape my house. When I got to her place, she looked serious. "We need to talk," she said, leading me to her bedroom. "I've been doing some thinking since the accident. About our friend group, about your mom, about everything." Megan confessed that our friends had been talking behind my back for months. Apparently, my mom had been telling them I was troubled and mentally unstable whenever I wasn't around. She'd asked them to report back to her about what I was doing at school, who I was talking to, if I was seeing any boys. She'd even offered to pay them for information. At first, I went along with it, Megan admitted. "Your mom can be really convincing, you know. She made it sound like she was just concerned about you. But after the accident, when she showed up and just took photos instead of actually helping, I realized something wasn't right." I sat on Megan's bed, stunned. I knew my mom was manipulative, but I never imagined she'd go so far as to spy on me through my friends. It explained why people had been acting so weird around me lately, why conversations would stop when I entered a room, why I'd been feeling so isolated. "There's more," Megan said, looking uncomfortable. "Your mom's been telling guys at school that you're available. Like, she gave Ryan her number and told him to text her if he wanted to take you out. She said she'd make sure you said yes." My stomach dropped. Ryan was a senior known for pressuring girls into doing things they weren't comfortable with. The thought of my own mother setting me up with him made me want to throw up. "We need to do something," Megan said, grabbing my hand. "This isn't normal and it's not okay. My mom says what she's doing is emotional abuse." I flinched at the word abuse. It seemed so extreme, but wasn't that exactly what was happening? My mom was manipulating me, isolating me, and now apparently trying to control my dating life for her own entertainment. Megan suggested we start documenting everything. Every inappropriate comment, every manipulation, every time she put me in an uncomfortable situation. We could record conversations if necessary, build a case that no one could deny. For the next few weeks, that's exactly what we did. I kept a detailed journal of every interaction with my mom. I used my phone to secretly record conversations where she'd say awful things about me, or pressure me to dress or act a certain way. Megan helped me save screenshots of her inappropriate social media posts, especially ones where she tagged me or mentioned me. One night, my mom insisted I come with her to a club in Miami. She'd gotten me that fake ID she promised and bought me an outfit that made me look like I was auditioning for a music video. I tried to refuse, but she threatened to take away my phone and car privileges if I didn't comply. "It'll be fun," she insisted, applying another layer of lip gloss. "There's this promoter I know who can get us into the VIP section. Lots of important people hang out there. Athletes, musicians, business guys. You could meet someone who could change your life." I knew what change your life meant in mom speak. It meant finding a rich guy who would take care of me financially, the way she always wished someone had done for her. In her mind, college was just a backup plan for girls who couldn't land a wealthy husband. At the club, everything was exactly as awful as I'd imagined. My mom immediately ditched me for some guy in an expensive watch, leaving me alone at the bar. Men kept trying to buy me drinks, not believing me when I said I was only 17, despite my fake ID claiming I was 22. One particularly persistent guy wouldn't leave me alone until I pretended to see a friend and escaped to the bathroom. I locked myself in a stall and called Megan, who agreed to come pick me up. I snuck out the back exit without telling my mom. She didn't even notice I was gone until 3 hours later when she finally texted, "Where are you? I met this amazing guy who owns a yacht and wanted to meet you." The next morning, she was furious. "You embarrassed me," she yelled, pacing around the kitchen. "Joshua thought I was making you up when you disappeared. Do you know how that made me look?" I couldn't hold back anymore. "I don't care how it made you look. I'm your daughter, not your wing woman or your prop. Normal mothers don't drag their underage kids to clubs to meet strange men." She got really quiet, which was always scarier than her yelling. "Yeah, you think you're so much better than me, don't you?" she said in a low voice. "You think you're special because you get good grades and read books? Let me tell you something. That won't get you anywhere in the real world. I'm trying to teach you how things actually work." "By what? Encouraging me to flirt with your boss? Setting me up with guys who just want to use me? That's not preparing me for the real world. That's just messed up. You have no idea what I've done for you," she hissed. "How do you think I got promoted so quickly at work? How do you think we can afford this house, your car, all those clothes you love so much? It wasn't by being a prude, I'll tell you that much. I felt like I'd been slapped." Was she actually admitting to sleeping her way to the top and worse, expecting me to do the same? "That's not how I want to live my life," I said quietly. "And you can't make me." "We'll see about that," she said, grabbing her purse. "When you're struggling to pay rent in some crappy apartment after college, maybe you'll appreciate what I tried to teach you." She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. I immediately called Megan and told her everything. We agreed it was time to take our evidence to someone who could help. The question was, who would believe a teenager over a charming, manipulative adult? We decided to start with Megan's mom, Denise. Unlike my mother, Denise was actually a responsible parent who took her job as a mom seriously. She listened carefully as we showed her the journal entries, played some of the recordings, and explained the situation. "This is definitely not okay," Denise said, looking through the evidence. "Have you thought about talking to your school counselor? They're mandatory reporters, which means they have to take this seriously." The thought of telling a school official made my stomach twist with anxiety. What if they didn't believe me? What if it made everything worse? But I was running out of options. The next day, Megan and I went to see Ms. Harper, the school counselor. She was younger than most of the teachers and had always seemed approachable. I nervously explained my situation, showing her some of the evidence we'd collected. Ms. Harper's expression grew increasingly concerned as I talked. When I finished, she said, "What your mother is doing is called parentification and emotional abuse. She's treating you like a peer or a prop instead of her child, and trying to push you into inappropriate situations with adult men is extremely concerning." Hearing a professional confirm what I'd suspected was both validating and terrifying. Ms. Harper explained that she would need to report this to CPS again, but this time with actual evidence. She warned me that my mom would likely be very angry when she found out. "Is there somewhere else you can stay for a while?" she asked, just until things cool down. Megan immediately offered her house, and Ms. Harper helped us make a plan. I would go home, pack some essentials while my mom was at work, and stay with Megan for a few days. Ms. Harper would make the report, and we'd take things from there. The plan seemed solid until I got home and found my mom already there. She was sitting on the couch scrolling through her phone, but looked up when I walked in. "Where have you been?" she asked suspiciously. "Just studying with Megan," I lied, trying to keep my voice steady. "Funny, because I saw on your location that you were in the counselor's office for over an hour." She held up her phone, showing my location history. I'd forgotten she had tracking enabled on my phone. "Want to try again?" My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst out of my chest. "I was talking to Ms. Harper about college applications," I said, attempting to sound casual. My mom stood up slowly, her eyes never leaving mine. "You know what I think? I think you were telling lies about me, just like you did with CPS." "I didn't call CPS," I said, backing toward the door. "And I wasn't—" "Stop lying!" she screamed, suddenly furious. She grabbed my arm, her nails digging into my skin. "I saw your little diary, all those nasty things you wrote about me. How could you do this to me after everything I've done for you?" She'd found my journal, the one where I'd documented everything. I felt like the floor was dropping out from under me. "You went through my room?" I asked, trying to pull away from her grip. "Of course I did. I'm your mother. I have every right to know what you're up to." She dragged me toward the stairs. "Show me your phone. Now I want to see who you've been talking to about me." I refused, holding my phone behind my back. "Number that's private." She lunged for it, and in the struggle, I dropped it. We both dove for it, but she got there first. She immediately started going through my texts with Megan, her face getting redder with each message she read. "So this is your plan?" she said, her voice dangerously quiet. "Turn everyone against me? Make me look like the bad guy? Let me tell you something, sweetheart. No one will believe you. You know why? Because I'm the adult. I'm the responsible one. You're just a troubled teenager who's jealous of her mother." She backed me into a corner, her face inches from mine. If you ever try something like this again, I'll tell everyone you've been stealing from me, or maybe that I found substances in your room. How do you think colleges will feel about that? Or I could just kick you out. You're almost 18. I don't legally have to take care of you much longer. I was terrified, but something in me snapped. I was done being manipulated and threatened. Go ahead, I said, my voice shaking but determined. Tell whatever lies you want. I have proof of how you really are, and I'm not the only one who knows the truth anymore. For a split second, uncertainty flashed across her face. Then she laughed, but it sounded hollow. Proof? You mean your little diary full of dramatic teenage angst? Please, no one will take that seriously. What about the recordings? I asked. I have dozens of them. You admitting you want me to flirt with your boss. You telling me I should be more open to meeting men at clubs. You saying the only way to get ahead in life is to use my looks. She went pale. You recorded me? That's illegal. Actually, in our state, only one party needs to consent to a recording, I said, thanking God for that research project on privacy laws I'd done last semester. And I consented. My mom's face twisted with rage. She raised her hand like she was going to slap me, then seemed to think better of it. Instead, she grabbed my phone and threw it against the wall, shattering the screen. Oops, she said with a cold smile. Looks like you lost all your evidence. What she didn't know was that Megan and I had backed everything up to a cloud account that only Megan could access. We'd anticipated something like this might happen. That wasn't my only copy, I said quietly. Before she could respond, there was a knock at the door. We both froze. Through the window, I could see Megan and her mom standing on our porch. My mom quickly composed herself, plastering on her fake smile before opening the door. Denise, Megan, what a nice surprise, she said, her voice suddenly sweet. We were just having a little mother-daughter chat. Denise wasn't buying it. Actually, we're here to pick up Kelly, she said firmly. She's going to stay with us for a few days. My mom's smile faltered. Oh, this is the first I'm hearing about this. Kelly hasn't mentioned anything about a sleepover. It's not a sleepover, Denise said, her voice leaving no room for argument. Kelly needs some space right now, and we're happy to provide it. My mom turned to me, her eyes flashing a warning. Kelly doesn't need space. We're doing just fine, aren't we, sweetie? I looked between my mom, whose fake smile was starting to crack, and Denise, who was looking at me with genuine concern. In that moment, I made my choice. I'm going with them, I said, stepping around my mom toward the door. She grabbed my arm again. No, you're not. You live here with me. Your mother. Denise stepped forward. Let go of her arm, Marie. Now. Something in Denise's tone must have gotten through to my mom because she released me. Fine, she said, her voice cold. Go ahead, but don't think you can come crawling back when you realize how good you had it here. I ran upstairs, threw some clothes and essentials into a backpack, and was back down in less than 5 minutes. My mom stood by the door, arms crossed, watching me with a mixture of anger and disbelief. This isn't over, she said as I walked past her. You'll regret this. As we drove away, I watched my house disappear in the rearview mirror. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. I wasn't naive enough to think this was the end of the drama. My mom wouldn't give up control easily, but I had taken the first step toward freedom, and I had people who believed me and supported me. That night, staying in Megan's guest room, I slept better than I had in months. In the morning, Denise made pancakes and asked how I was feeling. No one took photos of the food for social media. No one made inappropriate comments about my appearance. It was just normal, and it felt amazing. But I knew my mom wouldn't stay quiet for long. She'd already started posting on social media about how heartbroken she was that I'd run away. She claimed she was giving me space to work through my issues, but was always here with open arms when I'm ready to come home. The comments were full of sympathy for her and judgment for me. I tried not to let it bother me, but it was hard seeing people who didn't know the truth take her side. Megan reminded me that their opinions didn't matter. What mattered was that I was safe and had a plan. The plan was to meet with CPS again, this time with our evidence properly organized. Ms. Harper had arranged for a different social worker, a woman named Stephanie, to handle the case. Unlike Keith, she seemed immune to my mom's charm when we met at Megan's house the next day. Stephanie spent over an hour going through our evidence. She took detailed notes and asked a ton of questions, not just about the recordings and journal entries, but about patterns of behavior going back years. Unlike Keith, she didn't rush or dismiss anything I said. She actually listened. This is concerning behavior, she said finally, closing her notebook, especially the incidents involving adult men and putting you in inappropriate situations. I'll need to speak with your mother, of course, but I want you to know we're taking this seriously. I felt this weird mix of relief and anxiety. Part of me had been afraid no one would believe me or they'd think I was exaggerating. Having a professional validate my concerns was huge, but I was terrified about what would happen when my mom found out. What happens now? Megan asked, squeezing my hand for support. I'll schedule a meeting with your mother, Stephanie explained. Based on what I've seen and heard today, we'll likely recommend parenting classes and therapy, both individual and family sessions. Our goal isn't to separate families unless absolutely necessary, but we need to address these behaviors immediately. That wasn't exactly what I wanted to hear. I wasn't sure therapy could fix my mom's issues. She was too good at manipulating people, including professionals, but it was a start, and I appreciated that Stephanie was taking the situation seriously. The next day at school was weird. My mom had gone full victim mode on social media, posting tearful selfies with captions like, praying my baby girl comes home soon, and the hardest part of motherhood is letting them make their own mistakes. People I barely knew were coming up to me asking if I was okay, or telling me I should call my mom because she was really worried. I tried to ignore it all and focus on my classes, but it was hard. During lunch, I was sitting with Megan when Amber approached our table. She'd been one of the friends who'd sided with my mom. Can we talk? She asked, looking uncomfortable. I nodded, and she sat down across from me. I owe you an apology, she said, staring at her hands. Your mom called me last night. She was trying to get me to tell her where you're staying. She offered to buy me those shoes I wanted if I'd help bring you home. It was super weird and manipulative. I wasn't surprised, but it still hurt to hear. Did you tell her? No, Amber said quickly. It creeped me out. Made me realize maybe you weren't exaggerating about her after all. More friends started reaching out throughout the day. Apparently, my mom had contacted most of them. offering bribes or using guilt to get information about me. Her desperation was showing, and people were starting to see through the act. When I got back to Megan's house after school, Denise was waiting with news. My mom had been contacted by CPS and was not taking it well. She'd shown up at Denise's workplace, causing a scene and demanding to know where I was. Security had to escort her out. She's escalating, Denise said, looking worried. I think we should consider a restraining order. The thought of legally keeping my mom away from me felt extreme, but after everything that had happened, maybe it was necessary. Denise helped me fill out the paperwork that evening, and we filed it the next morning. 2 days later, I was sitting in history class when my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. My stomach dropped when I opened it. I know you're staying with Megan. If you don't come home today, I'm going to tell everyone about that time you shoplifted from the mall. I still have the security footage. How do you think colleges will feel about an applicant with a criminal record? Love you, Mom. I showed Megan the text during lunch. She's bluffing, I said, trying to convince myself. I've never shoplifted in my life. She doesn't need real footage, Megan pointed out. She could just tell people she has it, or she could fake something. She was right. My mom was desperate enough to manufacture evidence against her own daughter. I forwarded the text to Stephanie at CPS and added it to our growing file of evidence. That afternoon, I was helping Denise make dinner when the doorbell rang. Megan answered it, and I heard my mom's voice. My blood ran cold. I know she's here, my mom was saying, her voice sickly sweet. I just want to talk to her, mother to daughter. I peeked around the corner and saw my mom trying to push past Megan into the house. She was wearing a tight dress and full makeup, like she was heading to a club rather than confronting her teenage daughter. You need to leave, Megan said firmly, blocking the doorway. Kelly doesn't want to see you right now. My mom's fake smile vanished. Listen, you little bitch. That's my daughter in there, and I have every right to— Actually, you don't, Denise interrupted, appearing beside Megan. We filed a temporary restraining order yesterday. You're not supposed to be within 100 feet of Kelly or this house. If you don't leave immediately, I'll call the police. My mom looked shocked, then furious. A restraining order against her own mother? You've turned her against me. You've poisoned her mind. No one turned me against you, I said, stepping into view but staying behind Denise. You did that all by yourself. My mom's eyes locked on me. Kelly, baby, this is ridiculous. Whatever I did to upset you, I'm sorry. You know I love you more than anything. Please just come home so we can work this out. For a split second, I almost believed her. That's how good she was. But then I remembered everything, the manipulation, the threats, using me as a prop for her social media, trying to push me toward adult men. Love doesn't look like that. I'm not coming home, I said, my voice steadier than I expected. Not until you get help, her face twisted with rage. Help? I'm not the one who needs help. You're the ungrateful one. After everything I've sacrificed for you. Marie, you need to leave now, Denise said firmly, or I'm calling the police. She pulled out her phone and started dialing. My mom looked from the phone to me, then back again. Finally, she stepped back. This isn't over, she said, pointing at me. You'll regret this. As she stormed back to her car, I noticed she was filming the whole thing on her phone. Sure enough, an hour later, a new video appeared on her social media. It showed her crying outside Megan's house, claiming she'd been denied access to her own daughter and that I was being held against my will by manipulative people. She tagged local news stations and added hashtags like Bring Kelly Home and Mother's Rights. The comments were a mix of support for her and people questioning her story. Some of her followers were starting to notice inconsistencies in her posts. Why was she dressed like that to pick up her daughter? Why was she filming instead of actually trying to resolve the situation? A few even pointed out that if there was a restraining order, she was violating it by showing up at the house. The next day, Stephanie called to let us know my mom had missed her scheduled meeting with CPS. Instead, she'd hired a lawyer who was claiming I was being alienated from her. It was going to complicate things, but Stephanie assured me our evidence was strong. The system can be slow, she warned me, but we're not giving up. A week passed with no direct contact from my mom, though she continued her social media campaign. She posted old photos of us together, wrote long captions about how much she missed me, and even started a hashtag trend trying to get people to share my location. It was exhausting to watch, even from a distance. Then one afternoon, as I was walking to Megan's car after school, I spotted my mom's car in the parking lot. She was sitting inside, clearly waiting for me. I froze, unsure what to do. The restraining order meant she couldn't approach me, but she wasn't technically approaching, just watching. Megan saw her too and quickly guided me to her car. As we drove past my mom's car, she held up her phone, filming us. I slumped down in my seat, feeling sick. She's trying to provoke a reaction, Megan said, keeping her eyes on the road. Don't give her one. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about my mom sitting in that parking lot, watching and waiting. What was her end game here? What did she actually want? The answer came the next morning. My mom had posted a new video, this one showing her trying to approach me at school and being blocked by Megan. The caption claimed I was being kept from contacting her and that I looked scared. She ended with a plea for anyone with information to help rescue me from my captors. It was completely twisted, but some people were buying it. Comments urged her to call the police or hire a private investigator. Others suggested she just take back her daughter by force. It was terrifying to read. Denise reported the video to the police as a violation of the restraining order. They said they'd look into it, but didn't seem particularly concerned about what they viewed as a family dispute. They took a report, but explained that unless she physically approached me or made direct threats, there wasn't much they could do immediately. I was frustrated by their casual response, but at least there was now an official record of the violation. Meanwhile, Stephanie from CPS was still trying to get my mom to cooperate with their investigation, with no success. I felt stuck in limbo. I couldn't go home, but I couldn't stay with Megan forever. I couldn't get a job or apartment at 17 without parental consent. I was trapped in this weird in-between state, waiting for adults to figure out what happened next with my life. Then Megan had an idea. What if we flip the script? She suggested one night while we were doing homework. Your mom's whole thing is controlling the narrative, right? What if we take that away from her? Her plan was simple, but scary. We'd create our own social media post addressing the situation directly. Not a dramatic call out or anything that could backfire, but a calm, factual statement explaining that I was safe, not being held against my will, and taking time away from an unhealthy situation. We don't need to share the recordings or anything super private, Megan explained, just enough to counter her narrative. I was nervous about putting myself out there, but it made sense. My mom's power came from controlling the story. Maybe it was time to tell my own. With help from Megan and Denise, I wrote a short statement and recorded a simple video of myself reading it. I explained that I had chosen to stay with a friend's family temporarily while my mother and I worked through some issues. I stated clearly that I wasn't missing or in danger and asked for privacy during this difficult time. Megan posted it on her account and shared it to the local community groups where my mom had been spreading her version of events. We didn't tag my mom or directly accuse her of anything. We just presented the facts. The response was immediate. People who had been sympathizing with my mom started questioning her story. Friends from school shared the video, confirming that I seemed happier and healthier away from home. Even some of my mom's loyal followers began expressing doubts about her dramatic posts. My mom's reaction was predictable. She posted a tearful video claiming I'd been coached and was clearly under duress, but this time fewer people engaged with it. Her narrative was falling apart. 2 days after our post, I received a text from my mom that shocked me. We need to talk. For real this time. No cameras, no drama, just us. I showed it to Denise, who advised caution but thought it might be a positive sign. We arranged to meet at a public coffee shop with Denise sitting at a nearby table for support. When I arrived, my mom was already there. She looked different. Less makeup, simpler clothes, tired eyes. For a moment, she almost looked like a normal mom. "Thanks for coming," she said as I sat down across from her. No hug attempt, no dramatic tears, just a quiet greeting. "What do you want to talk about?" I asked, keeping my guard up. She took a deep breath. "I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I don't like what I see when I look at myself lately." I stayed silent, waiting for the manipulation that usually followed these kinds of statements. But instead, she continued. "Stephanie finally got through to me yesterday. She played me some of your recordings." My mom looked down at her coffee. "Hearing myself talk to you like that, it wasn't good, Kelly." I still didn't know what to say. This seemed too easy, too convenient. "I'm not saying I understand everything you're feeling," she continued, "but I'm willing to try. Stephanie suggested this parenting class and therapy thing. I've agreed to do it." I studied her face, looking for signs of deception. "Why the sudden change?" she sighed. "Partly because I'm tired of fighting. Partly because your video made me realize I was losing control of the situation. But mostly, I watched it again without the anger, and I saw how much happier you looked away from me. That hit me hard. For all her faults, she was still my mom. I didn't want to hurt her. I'm not doing this to hurt you," I said quietly. "I just need things to be different." She nodded. "I know, and I can't promise I'll change overnight. This whole way of being, it's all I've known for a long time, but I want to try, for real." We talked for almost an hour, not about coming home right away, but about small steps. She agreed to continue with the CPS plan, parenting classes, therapy, supervised visits. I agreed to give her a chance to show she was serious about changing. As we were getting ready to leave, she pulled out her phone. For a second, I thought she was going to try to take a selfie or record something. Instead, she handed it to me. "Delete my social media apps," she said. "All of them. I'm taking a break." I stared at her shocked. "Seriously?" "Yeah, it's not healthy the way I've been using it. I need to focus on real life for a while." I deleted the apps one by one, half expecting her to change her mind, but she just watched calmly. When I handed the phone back, she looked almost relieved. "One day at a time, right?" she said with a small smile. It wasn't a magical fix. There were still hard days ahead, therapy sessions that ended in tears, moments when she'd slip back into old patterns, times when I'd struggle to trust her efforts. The restraining order stayed in place for a while, and I continued living with Megan's family for the rest of the school year. But slowly, things improved. My mom started showing up to our supervised visits without makeup and fancy clothes. She actually listened when I talked instead of turning the conversation back to herself. She stopped flirting with every man she encountered. The parenting classes seemed to be giving her tools she'd never had before. The road to recovery wasn't smooth or quick. There were setbacks, like when she showed up at a supervised visit wearing an inappropriate outfit and tried to charm the male supervisor, or when she created a new social media account behind my back. Each time, Stephanie would address the behavior directly, and my mom would have to confront her actions in therapy. After 3 months of consistent therapy and parenting classes, we started having longer, less supervised visits. My mom would sometimes fall into old habits, making comments about my appearance or trying to live vicariously through me. But now she could catch herself, or at least be receptive when I pointed it out. "I spent so many years defining myself by how men saw me," she admitted during one of our joint therapy sessions. "I didn't know how else to feel valuable. And I wanted you to have that power too, because I thought it was the only kind that mattered." By the time I graduated high school, we'd progressed to unsupervised visits and occasional dinners out together. She came to my graduation ceremony wearing an appropriate dress and didn't make the event about herself. She even took a normal photo with me afterward. No poses, no filters, just a genuine smile. I still went to college out of state as planned. The distance was good for both of us. We talked weekly on the phone, and I came home for holidays. Each visit, I saw more progress. She'd gotten a promotion at work, one she earned through actual skill, not manipulation. She'd made real friends her own age. She'd even started dating a decent guy who treated her with respect. It wasn't perfect. We still had our moments. Old habits die hard, and sometimes she'd slip into her cool mom persona when she was feeling insecure. But now she could catch herself doing it, and that made all the difference. As for me, I'm doing better too. I've made friends at college who like me for who I am, not because of my mom. I'm studying psychology, partly because of everything I went through. And I'm learning that family relationships can heal, even after years of damage. The other day, my mom sent me a text that would have been unimaginable 2 years ago. "Saw a dress that would look amazing on you. Didn't buy it because I know you have your own style now, but took a pic in case you're interested. Love you. Progress, one small step at a time."